It's only 200 pages. 99 left to go.
Make me back in the same course. Tom?
Tom?
We are going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. This is the City Council regular meeting for January 2nd, 2024. Thank you all for joining us. May we start with a roll call, please, Faye?
Councilor Bosman's,
Present?
Mayor Pro Tem Buell,
Here.
Councilor Woodruff,
Here.
Councilor Yazzie,
Here.
and Mayor Youssef.
Here, thank you. May we have the introduction of the translator?
Yes. Hi, everyone. I hope you can hear me okay. My name is Diego Pons. Happy New Year to everyone. I'm here with my colleague Liz Torres on behalf of the the Community Language Cooperative, the CLC. As always, thank you for inviting us to your meeting where we're going to make this commitment towards language justice as usual so that people can participate and engage in the space in the language of their heart, the language that you feel most comfortable in. We'll continue using simultaneous interpretation to help create the space in English and Spanish. After I finish saying this statement in both English and in Spanish, we'll start the interpretation. Once interpretation is on, you'll be able to see that globe icon that says interpretation in the bottom right-hand corner of your computer screen. Please make sure you select that globe icon when it appears on your screen, and please select your preferred language. And if you're joining the meeting tonight on your cell phone or your tablet, please be on the lookout for the more button or the three dots button to select your preferred language this other way. And if you're not fully bilingual, we'll strongly encourage you to select your preferred language so you can use the interpretation if anyone were to speak in the opposite language. And if you are bilingual, feel free to listen to everyone in the original language. And as always, for the English speaking audience, please pay attention to the speed in which you're speaking. Spanish tends to be about 20% longer than English. Just please make sure you're speaking at a conversational pace like this, and please make sure you don't pick up your reading speed. So thank you so much for that. Buenas tardes a todos y a todas. Mi nombre es Diego Pons. Feliz año nuevo. Estoy aquí hoy con mi colega Liz Torres, de parte de la Cooperativa Comunitaria de la Justicia del Lenguaje, el CLC. Como siempre, gracias por invitarnos hoy a su reunión, donde los organizadores de la reunión se han comprometido a servir la justicia del lenguaje. Eso significa que queremos crear un espacio para que todos puedan participar e involucrarse en el idioma a su corazón. Simplemente el idioma en el que todas las personas se sientan más cómodas. Vamos a continuar hoy utilizando la interpretación simultánea aquí en Zoom para crear ese espacio en inglés y en español. Luego que yo termine de dar esas instrucciones, vamos a comenzar la interpretación simultánea y en ese momento usted va a poder ver ese icono del globo de la Tierra que dirá interpretación allí abajo en la derecha de su pantalla. Por favor, asegúrese de elegir ese icono del globo de la Tierra cuando aparezca en su pantalla y por favor, elija su idioma preferido. Y si usted está asistiendo hoy a la reunión en su celular o en su tableta, busque por favor la opción que dice More, que quiere decir más, o posiblemente el botón de 3 puntos para que pueda seleccionar su idioma preferido de esta otra manera. Si usted no es completamente bilingüe, le vamos a aconsejar que elija su idioma preferido para que pueda utilizar interpretación cuando alguien está hablando en el otro idioma. Y si usted sí es bilingüe, siéntase libre de escuchar a todos hoy en su idioma original. Muchas gracias.
Great, thank you so much. Appreciate that. Moving on to opening remarks by Mayor and Council. Council, do we have any opening remarks as we start the new year? Okay, I'm going to go and say a few words as we convene our first meeting for 2024. I just want to, as someone who is now going on their 7th year of service, I can honestly say that I've never seen the city so exceptionally well positioned as we start the new year for positive and productive 2024. In the coming months, we're going to focus on key priorities that reflect the aspirations of our community, including continued focus on housing and affordability efforts, on economic development, and continuing our progress with Three Springs Village 2 and our partners at the Tribe, and La Posta Road, getting that annexed into the city so that we can address housing and light industrial development in that area. We will continue to work on maintaining and enhancing our strong quality of life with the opening of pickleball courts at Schneider Park and continued focus on our Animas River Trail and the maintenance of it. We will continue to advance and progress with our partners at Durango Mesa Park. We will focus on continuing the progress in our community of gathering input on our civic center, the old 9R building. And we will look forward to continued discussions on the planned reauthorization of the 2005 sales tax in November. And a big effort, we will continue to strive for robust community engagement and outreach with the changes that we have implemented around boards and commissions, city council office hours, staff's addition of their community engagement efforts, and staff's use of focus groups. All of these efforts will continue to provide more diversified and inclusive voices into the City of Durango's projects and efforts. And we will continue all of our efforts around transparency, accountability, and inclusivity in all that we do. And all of this, I must say, is only possible because of our strong staff team currently in place for the City of Durango. For the first time in several years, the City of Durango the City Council has all three of their three appointees fully on board and committed: our city manager, our city attorney, and our municipal judge. This is the first time in several years that we start the new year with all of these positions fully filled. And our appointees have been working very hard to get their teams fully staffed and in place to maximize efficiency and productivity for the City of Durango, allowing us all to do the work that we do in the city throughout the year. And in this regard, I do want to send a big thank you to our staff for their commitment to the City of Durango and their focus on productivity and advancement of our initiatives around affordability and quality of life. I hope, as one counselor, that we can embark on this new year with enthusiasm, unity, and a shared vision for Durango that truly represents the best of who we are. And with that, we are going to move on to 4.1, focus groups. This was an update requested by Councillor Bosmans, and we are going to have Clancy join us. This is information only, but I understand that this was requested by Councillor Bosmans, and I'd like to give all councillors 3 minutes for questions on the presentation upon conclusion of the presentation. Thank you. I'll pass it to you.
All right. Good evening, Council and Mayor. Thanks for having me. I'm here to just do a quick overview of a brand new engagement tool that we have in the toolkit for the City of Durango, which are focus groups. So I'll just jump right in. So the intent of focus groups is for staff to have an avenue to engage the community during specific projects where a conversation with community members with pertinent expertise would be beneficial for developing staff's recommendation. So we're seeking out individuals within our community that have an expertise, match a demographic, or have a certain lived experience that we want to make sure that we're hearing from in a small group setting. They have short-term commitments that vary by project. So right now we have an Indigenous Lands Acknowledgement focus group that we have an application open for. And that, you know, we have 2 to 3 meetings scheduled for that focus group. The group may be given a short list of options for a project on which they're expected to provide objective feedback, with the key word in there being objective feedback. Consensus is not necessarily the goal. So group members are not expected to reach a consensus within those meetings. They're simply providing feedback on, you know, that Pepsi or Coke kind of dynamic of like solution A, B, or C. Which ones do you feel best about? What do you have to say about solution B, C? And we can have those kind of more in-depth conversations in that small group setting. Again, seeking objective feedback. We're not looking for advocacy for preferred outcome. That can take place in kind of those more open public forum settings. But in this specific setting, we're looking for that objective feedback on a pared down list of solutions. It's an additional channel or a tool for engagement. It is not a replacement for anything that we have existing already. So the key takeaways here that, again, focus groups are not replacing anything. They're an additional tool in the engagement toolkit for the City of Durango, along with all of these other avenues that we have in that toolkit. So we have public comment at council meetings, public meetings and forums, website inquiries and feedback forms, boards and commissions, counselor office hours, surveys, social media, kind of the list goes on, but those are the key ones. But that's pretty much it. That's the general overview of what we're expecting for focus groups. Do you have any questions?
Thank you. Counselor, questions or comments?
Thank you very much. for the-
Started at 3 minutes, Tom.
Thank you very much for the presentation. I asked for the update because I think it's important for our community to know how they can engage through focus groups. So I have a couple of questions. I'll just run through it and then you can see if you have allowed time to respond. My first question would be, who appoints focus group members? That the presentation, it shows that it's beneficial for developing staff's recommendation. So that seems internal, but it may come across as a focus group that represents our community, even though it's appointed by staff. Yeah, so it's select. It also says it's a venue for engagement, but only those identified by staff for a specific project are engaged. How would anybody else in our community be able to engage? Is there some sort of process or procedures that are visible about minutes, agenda items, recordings, posting meetings? And then important for me is, in theory, let's say the department head appoints these members, and this is a worst case scenario, I'm playing the devil's advocate. Can department head appoint individuals to the focus group that support that specific project, and then imply that community engagement took place and there was support, similar to a limited survey that gets a couple of hundreds responses of people that all are in favor of something, versus feedback that is more representative of our community as a whole. So what is the process or the procedures in place to prevent an objective, neutral, and is there anything in writing?
As far as in writing, I'll get to that, but the process in general, what we're envisioning for this is brand new, so we're ready to modify per project if needed. However, right now we open an application, for instance, right now with the Indigenous Lands Acknowledgement Focus Group. We have opened up an application, asks a series of questions. There's selection criteria that we have that we want represented within that focus group. For instance, we definitely want to be hearing from tribal members. So we line out, you know, for this one, it was 6 different criteria that we list out. Applicants can have a combination of those. So we aren't appointing anybody. I think that's a key piece. We're not appointing anybody. We're merely making selections out of those applicants on who we feel like checks those boxes that we've lined out as far as that criteria goes. And then from there, then we have those meetings. And you know, the nice thing is that we've gotten great feedback about the short-term commitment of these, where we can, and we're trying to protect that space really. When you get into an open forum, sometimes you can have basically a large group of people. You can have very loud people in the room, where some of the folks maybe don't get a chance to speak or don't feel comfortable speaking. And so we're getting these criteria lined out through the departments, and then we're creating this safer space basically for folks to be able to speak up.
Thank you. Appreciate that clarification. Other counselor comments or questions?
I just wanted to say that I spoke to a couple members, one that was on the Midtown Safety Focus Group, and then one that's been on the Civic Center Focus Group. And both of them have said how wonderful the experience has been, what a diverse group of people it was. I talked to a woman that lives on 3rd Ave, but then she said there was representation from like Edgemont. And she said they really did a really great job of selecting a diverse group of people. And so I think that, like, even though it's a learning process, we're going to keep getting better and keep doing, the things right, hopefully, and learn lessons learned. Right out of the gate, you guys have been so thoughtful and intentional about what you're doing and how you're doing it. And I really appreciate that. So thank you so much. I've heard nothing but good things so far.
very good.
So thank you. Yes.
Other counselors, go ahead. Go ahead, Gilda.
Yes, thank you, Clancy. I think the focus groups are working out well. Although I did hear one criticism from the community, and that was based on the fact that I don't think there's a basic understanding that focus groups are only one part of the data collection that you do for a project. So maybe if that was presented more clearly to the participants, they could understand that moving forward with any kind of project, there's multiple avenues to collect input from the community.
Yeah, thank you for that feedback. I think as we strategize our community engagement principles and everything that we're trying to do, that's definitely at the forefront of making sure everybody knows the timeline of those projects and where to provide input.
Great, Counselor Woodruff.
Kind of echoing what my fellow counselors have said. I've heard a lot of good things also, and I also want to make sure that we all know that there's so, I mean, I'm on the Engage Durango website right now. You know, there's so many other ways for the general public to come in and give that feedback, whether it's through an online form submittal, it's through here, this process with public comment, going to the Engage Durango forums, which are held, I think, bi-monthly, if I'm correct. We have council office hours where, so there's 5 of us that are all meeting, you know, throughout the week. So there's multiple formats. And so like Councilor Yazzie was saying, you know, there's more data points collected instead of just this one where we're hyper focused on this little subset of people. I think we're gathering objective information from multiple points. So I think you're, you know, doing a great job with making sure that we're getting, you know, taking a step back sometimes and looking at the 20,000 foot view on top of what we're doing on the micro view. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Great, thank you. And I would just add too, I appreciate you taking the time to update us and provide us with this information and your willingness to be flexible and adjust and as needed going forward. But I really appreciate the effort at really working to get a diversified group of individuals participating in our projects and being inclusive in really working on that outreach. And I think it's really important for the projects that we do it this way. So thank you so much for adding this.
Thank you.
I appreciate it very much. All right, and now we'll move on to the Durango Trails Annual Update with Mary Monroe.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Council. Happy New Year. We're here tonight. Mary Monroe with Durango Trails is going to give the annual update to Council on the partnership between the city and Durango Trails.
Thanks, Sarah. Will you, Sarah, before you leave? Someone's controlling that. Is that
Yeah.
Tom?
Exactly, right.
It's not up, right? Okay, thank you.
Yeah, he'll get it set and then you can just.
Great, okay, thank you. Good evening, Counselor, Madam Mayor, City Manager, and City Attorney. It's a pleasure to be here tonight. Thank you for the opportunity. Tonight, I'm going to give a brief recap on both our 2023 season and the longtime partnership and collaborative relationship between the City of Durango and Durango Trails. As you know, Durango Trails is a 501c3 nonprofit organization with a mission to plan, build, and maintain trails, educate trail users, and create connections. We're formed as Trails 2000 in 1990 and rebranded to Durango Trails to celebrate our 30th anniversary in 2020. As the city's outdoor recreation partner, we collaborate and partner with the city on virtually every open space trail project. In 2023, we worked on all major open space networks, including building new trails in Horse Gulch and with the Telegraph connector to Durango Mesa Park. Our business model includes hiring trained and certified crews to work on area trails to supervise volunteers. We work with area land managers to help create and maintain a connected system of trails for multi-use based on the land manager's input and have collaborated and partnered with the Forest Service, BLM, city, county, and private land managers. Colorado's outdoor recreation industry accounts for $9.6 billion in value-added GDP, gross domestic product, annually, and contributes 120,000 direct jobs in 2020. According to the 2017 SCORP report, 92% of Coloradoan residents participate in outdoor recreation each year. Colorado's outdoor economy contributes to a higher quality of life, making people and communities happier and healthier. Trails are an economic engine, providing quality of life for residents. It's placemaking. The trails are a major draw for those who value the outdoors and active lifestyles. I know many people who have moved here because of their experience on the trails. Trails make Durango feel like home for so many. As an extension of placemaking, it's community and connection, and we find ourselves and others and make lifelong friendships. It's adventure, taking in views, and marveling at wildlife. The bottom line is trails connect us in profound ways. Durango Trails collaborative partnership with the city goes back before there was even a Parks and Rec department. A few highlights include Durango Trails recognized the potential for land in Horse Gulch and secured the easements on Ewing Mesa, now known as Durango Mesa, with the Potsky family, and built the trails in Horse Gulch over 20 plus years ago, including the Telegraph Connect, Send It, and Kreitz Connect. Durango Trails raised $55,000 to help the city's first open space acquisition purchase at Overend Mountain Park. Durango Trails helped start the city's first Bike to Work Day event. We created the initial Smart 160 trail plan. We did such things as negotiate the easement with Jake Dalla for access on Extended Ridge. Volunteers are the backbone of our organization, and Durango Trails manages over 500 plus volunteers each season with over 40 plus volunteer projects. In addition, we have a volunteer coordinator and work with the city to manage public volunteer requests. We also work with various businesses and groups to promote trail work and stewardship. We work with Fort Lewis College, Devo, and a variety of groups to make sure people understand stewardship, leave no trace, and share the trail ethics. As trail use has increased significantly since COVID, we have enhanced all of our education, including additional PSAs, television, print ads in partnership with Durango, with Visit Durango. We also launched the Durango Trail Love Education Campaign. We've hired trail ambassadors to be present at trailheads to help welcome and educate trail users and provide interactive maps and social media updates about seasonal wildlife closures, updated connections, and share the trail and leave no trace ethics. So thank you for your time. And as we say, great communities build great trails, and great trails build great communities. Thank you and Happy New Year.
Thank you so much for the update. Any counselor comments for Mary?
Just thank you for your continued work in this. It's so important to our community, and it really is one of, I think, it just connects so multi-generational, and I just, the amount of work that you do and Durango Trails does is astounding. And so thank you for continuing to go through it.
Thank you,
Other counselor comments?
Yeah, I'd like to echo that. Thank you very much for you and all you do in your organization. It's fantastic. We're very grateful to have you.
Thank you, Councilor Bosman.
And I would just add that I had the fortunate opportunity quite a long time ago of serving on the Durango Trails Board and seeing firsthand the very, very important work that they do on an annual basis. And I just think that we're so fortunate to have Durango Trails here in our community, with having such a massive impact on our community with the coordination of all of the volunteers and the massive volunteer hours that those volunteers give, and the education of our community, keeping our trails, as well as keeping our trails so well maintained and kept up. We so appreciate it. I just think we're so fortunate to have Durango Trails. I think it's one of our most beloved nonprofits in Durango. And I want to thank you, Mary, firsthand for your exceptional leadership of Durango Trails over the years and in our community.
Thank you.
So thank you so much.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We appreciate those
Thank
kind words.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We will move on to Joseph Manager Updates Committee, Board, and Liaison Reports. Councilors, who'd like to go first?
I feel like it's been a whirl. I don't even know what's
been a
happened
long time.
since we met last. Okay.
Okay, go ahead. Councilor Yazzie.
Yes, it's been a long time. I think it was what, the 5th, the last council meeting?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so since then, The phones don't stop ringing. Okay, so one of the most interesting things I did is I met with the Boy Scouts at the Florida Grange, and they wanted to ask me questions, what you do on city council. And so I explained to them that we try to provide services, and we try to just make sure that things roll along smoothly with administration. But I also explained to them that we took an oath of office because I saw them do their little Cub Scout oath and, was able to talk to them about civics. So that was also for one of their badges. So that was all good. And I also attended the Amherst High Winter exhibit because I got invited by a couple of the students there. And I was really, that's the first time I've been to that high school. I was really impressed by the fact that they completed the high school and it looks fabulous, and the projects there by the students are all very interesting. So that was fun. Okay. And then we had our RHA meeting, and basically that was just administrative. We reviewed the strategic plan. Then I also got invited to go to the Fort Lewis College commencement ceremony. And so that was brought back fond memories of going to school up there. So that was real exciting. And then, I went to the Southern U inauguration for the current council and president. And I was really moved by the ceremony that they attached with onboarding their new counselors and all the new people who are going to help with their government. And they have some really spiritual things that they say when they, make their announcement that they're going to be working for the community. So I was really glad to represent the city of Durango at that. That was really, really great. And I think that's it.
Thank you for attending all of those.
Sure.
Other counselors,
I can go.
go ahead.
We did a roundtable with Natasha Hudson of Senator Bennett's office. Jessica was there as well. We talked about housing, childcare, business capacity and growth, wildfire management and the associated issues that kind of come along with that. That was December 6th. We also, I went to the Economic Development Alliance meeting. We had a weather station update, or I guess lack thereof, unfortunately. The West Slope Startup Week is going to come back in August, so we're really excited about having that back in our community. We had a Catalyst update on round 2 of fund distribution, so really cool to see some projects kind of get some legs there. We also met the new Animas Surgical Hospital CEO, and then there's an RHA update as well. Attended the Wildfire and Watershed Protection Fund meeting. We meet quarterly discussing wildfire mitigation and how we're protecting our watershed. We got a Swift Crew update, which I found out is the Southwest Inmate Fire Team. So I didn't know that was a thing, but it was really cool. Yeah. They're doing the Lord's work out there, helping mitigate fire. So doing a great job there. We also looked at the new Resource Center website map detailing the mitigation work and that's been completed, and then also what's in process. So it's cool to kind of get a live view of what all the different partners and stakeholders are doing for management. There was also a recap of Summit County. They did Commissioner Porter Norton and Allison Lehman, our director, did a trip and seeing how they have a dedicated tax towards wildfire mitigation, and kind of seeing how that works and how that engagement is with the community at large. So it was really cool to hear what they saw out there. And then lastly, I went to a Chamber of Commerce meeting. They approved the new members for 2024 board vacancies. And then also 9R is launching its work-based learning platform, which I've spoken to before, but it's finally going into in its infancy, getting going live. So that's really exciting. And then also the last part is Durango Rocks Awards is going to be on Leap Day, February 29th. Don't forget.
Other counselors?
Okay. I had council office hours after our last council meeting. My office hours got moved locations because so they want, everyone's now going to be at the library, which is great. So we will all always be at the library. So it'll be a good consistent place to always meet us. But originally I was scheduled at Lola's and I got changed last minute. And so I only had a few people come in for council office hours, but then I had numerous people reach out to me saying they missed me. So I had council office hours all month long. It was great. It was a good time. But it was great. We talked about connectivity, a gentleman that came in about safer bike routes, from end to end of town, and some different ideas that he had, which was super interesting. A couple people on Midtown, someone on housing, and just making sure we're putting enough efforts into affordable housing. And then Durango Cowboy Gathering, like the new vision for it, which is going to be super fun. So kind of keep your eye out for that. We also had a URA meeting, which was a great meeting. We got a Midtown update on the Famburger project, which is super fun, awesome project going on with the Midtown grant. We talked about a North Main Gateway update. The 32nd and Main building has been demolished, and there's a lot of work going on that corner of 32nd and Main. So that is fun to see that kind of revitalizing a little bit. We talked about La Posta. There's a full support letter from the property owners that they presented, and that was at another meeting with the county, and Scott Shine, I think, did that one. I didn't go to that meeting, but the URA meeting, they talked about it as well. We approved the 2024 budget resolution. And then Tommy gave, I think it was Tommy. Yeah, Tommy gave a really great 2023 wrap up year end update as to like what the URA has accomplished this year. And I didn't write down all of it, but you can go and listen to it, but just some highlights. We've built 2 new housing units, 3 heavy deed restrictions, 1 light. We invested $550,000 towards community revitalization and housing projects. We cleared 1 outdated structure for future development. We were awarded numerous awards for innovative partnerships and excellence in downtown. And yeah, so that was exciting and fun to watch. And then I had a bunch of things that Dave already talked about. We did at the Alliance meeting where we had our financial policy adoption and our budget and cash flow. It was a lot of, year-end stuff. So I mean, super exciting, but there you go.
Excellent. Thank you for the update on the URA. It's important. Councillor Bosmans?
Yeah, thank you. I attended 2 meetings. One was the Colorado Communities for Climate Action, and the other one was a Region 9 and Southwest Colorado Council of Governments meeting. Both were primarily about their budgets and auditing and administrative matters. And then I had council office hours today. I think it was very low attendance, more of a social talk. I think start of the year, maybe people are not that interested in. Hopefully it will pick up. That's all I had.
Excellent. Thank you. And I had the Airport Commission meeting on December 21st. We got an update on the 1A construction. Work is now focused on the north side. So there is now a temporary wall by the United Gate, if you haven't seen it already, behind which construction is taking place. Inside 1A, the electrical and plumbing is all complete. The windows are installed and the roof is 95% complete. So we are on track for a March opening, March grand opening, and hope to open the space to the public in April. So we're feeling the commission is feeling and staff is feeling very good about that. Pretty clear path moving forward. And for phase 1B, 100% construction document bid is set. 1B is also on schedule in terms of design. So feeling good about that too. Cost estimates with none appear to be in a pretty stable environment at this time. They're looking at a 5% inflation adjustment, and we may be able to undercut that by a few percentage points. The subs involved with 1A are also interested in the 1B construction process. So we're pushing for a competitive bidding environment for that. So cautiously optimistic about all of that construction going on. I really enjoy serving on the Airport Commission. It's just a great group of people with doing some really good things for our community around the airport. So happy to present that update. And with that, we'll move on to public comment on agenda items 8, 9, and 11. before I even give my diatribe, I will see if we have public comment for this period. No one? Do we have anyone virtually?
No, Mayor, no one has raised their hand.
I will note in this item that for these items 8, 9, and 11, we are not taking public comment on item 11.6, the reprimand of Councillor Bosman's, as this is a council matter that Robert's Rules of Order does not take public comment on. This is an internal council function and is not appropriate for council function or appropriate for council comment or public comment, excuse me. Lastly, please note that we will be taking public comment for items 11.4, the road naming of the city right-of-way during the time of the resolution and public hearing, as this item is slightly different. So hope I didn't confuse you with that, but we will go through it as well during the presentation. So with that, we will move on to the consent agenda. Faye, may we please have a reading?
8.1 is approval of minutes. We're looking for approval of minutes of the City Council special meeting on December 5th, 2023, and approval of minutes of the City Council special meeting held on December 19th, 2023. 8.2 is final reading of ordinances, with a final reading of ordinance 0/2023-0024, approving a license agreement, including a lease between Tesla Incorporated regarding the electric vehicle superchargers at the Durango Transit Center. There are no adoption of resolutions by consent. Approval of other administrative items is a motion concerning the requirements of the city to comply with the State Sunshine Act submitted by the clerk's office. And 8.5 would be land use and development, and there are no items there.
Thank you. Is there a counselor that would like to remove any item from the consent agenda? Seeing none, do we have a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
May we have a roll call, please?
Mayor Pro Tem Buell,
Yes.
Mayor Youssef,
Yes.
Councillor Bosman's,
Yes.
Councillor Woodruff,
Yes.
Councillor Yazzie.
Yes.
Great. Moving on to items number 11. Faye, may we have a reading of item 11.1, please?
11.1 is a resolution approving the appointment of Kelly Schmidt as Parks and Recreation Director submitted by Jose Madrigal.
Yes, Mayor and Council, I am excited to recommend that the City Council approve by resolution my appointment of Kelly Schmidt as the Parks and Recreation Director for the City of Durango. Kelly is here right now, and Kelly is currently serving as the Director of Investments of Green Space and Community Initiatives for Runway Group in Bentonville, Arkansas. She has over 25 years of professional experience in parks and recreation industry and does have her Certified Park and Recreation Executive certification from the National Recreation and Parks Association. We are very excited to have Kelly come on board. She was the unanimous candidate that was selected out of 3 interview groups, the Parks Department, the City Manager's Office, and the Executive Leadership Team. So it's good when everything works out and goes as it is. And Kelly, if you'd like to come up and just introduce yourself, that would be, we'd be very pleased.
Good evening, Council, Mayor. Thrilled to be here, excited and honored to accept this appointment. Any questions? Happy to answer.
Well, we're very happy to have you joining our team. And do we have any counselor comments or? Okay, yes, thank you. First, we need a motion before we have council discussion with the resolution.
Oh, the resolution number. Okay, I can just, okay, perfect. Move to what?
Move to adopt resolution as read by the clerk.
Okay, I'll move to adopt the resolution as read by the clerk.
Do we have a second? Council discussion.
We're super excited to have you. We're glad it finally is filled and we have a path forward. So thank you. Welcome to Durango. And yeah, I'm sure you have some busy days ahead of you.
I think so. Thank you.
Yes, welcome. I moved to Durango January 7th, 2005, and literally within 10 minutes of walking through the door, somebody said, "Welcome home." That was almost 19 years ago. So welcome home. Super excited to have you. Actually, was talking to a community member just this morning about, has anybody picked out a new Parks and Rec director? And I was like, yes, we finally have somebody. So we're all really excited to have you on board. So thank you for stepping into the role, and we're looking forward to seeing what great things we can accomplish. So thanks.
Other counselors? I just want to welcome you as well, Kelly. Thank you so much for joining our team. Such a very important role for the city of Durango, extremely important with a significant impact on our quality of life, which we in Durango consider very important. So thank you for joining the team. We're really happy to have you on board.
And I just want to say real quick, thanks to Sarah and Scott too for getting us through since Turi left. And like, yes, so I really appreciate you guys and all your hard work in the steps you've taken to maintaining our success in Parks and Rec. So thank you.
Excellent. May we have a roll call, please?
Mayor Youssef.
Yes.
Counselor Yazzie.
Yes.
Counselor Woodruff.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Buell.
Yes.
Counselor Bosman's.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Hey, may we please have a reading of 11.2?
A resolution adopting the 2024 to 2026 Durango Public Library Strategic Plan submitted by Luke Alvey Henderson.
Mayor, council, guests, both here and virtual, thank you so much for your time and attention tonight. Happy New Year. Tonight, I will be going over a proposal for a resolution to adopt our 2024 to 2026 Durango Public Library Strategic Plan. As you can see, it neatly falls under enhanced livability and sense of place and diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I'd also like to say that this strategic plan is designed to really fit with our strategic plan for the city, both as we have it now and the revisions we make in the year to come. It's meant to be flexible, adaptable, transparent, and data-driven, which is, I know, what the city is moving towards as a whole. With any large project this library takes on, I always like to start with why. And for me, the why wasn't we don't have one right now. That is not of importance. The why was, how can our strategic plan better serve the public? And that is exactly what our starting point was. And so, of course, we started with our public engagement, which I'll talk about in a slide. But it showed us that looking at it and looking at what we're doing well now, our focus really should be for the next 3 years is serving the underserved. And I say that because if you look at our key performance indicators, like how many people come into the library, over 20,000 people a year, how many people check out books, over 290,000 items a year, how many people are coming to our programs, over 42 people per program on average, and how successful is our outreach, an over 300% increase over 2022. We're doing really well. We're sort of killing it on our metrics. So focusing on a 5% increase or a 10% increase doesn't really act as the best use of our resources. It's not where the priority is. So when we looked at, if we focus on finding demographically who we're not hitting, going directly to them, finding what they need and achieving that, we're going to find improvements that improve us organization-wide far more effectively than just let's improve everything. And the way we're doing that is building a transparent database model of excellence. Another thing we have found that if we look at our metrics and someone says, hey, why is your library doing so well? A lot of our answers are anecdotal. We want to have improving how we get customer feedback, we call them patrons, how we improve employee feedback, and having processes for getting that data, collecting it, prioritizing the changes, and then assessing whether it's successful or not, which is something, you know, we're not doing our best at. And so we started with public engagement because that's where you want to start if you want to make a change. And we took our customer survey from 2020 that had over 200 responses, our 22 library usage survey that had over 450 responses, and we looked at what are we doing well, where can we make improvements, and how do we prioritize those improvements based on that customer feedback. We also looked at, let's look at the demographics of the people answered. Who are we not serving based on the proportions of what our census tells us we should be serving in this community? And so we know how to identify already what are some underserved populations that this survey isn't even reaching. We also looked at online and in-person written comments and desk interactions. Those last two really come up largely anecdotal, and we don't have a place right now where they're currently being stored, collected, viewed, and prioritized, which is something we will change in the next 3 years. So here's the timeline of how it went. We started with that, looking at that public engagement. And then for the first time ever, the design process was full staff participation. We had 6 major subject areas, and we broke up into 6 groups and looked at how can we define goals and objectives for the next 3 years that make the most impact on those 6 areas. And so that was about a 3-month process involving every single staff member. And then it got to revision, where we take a look at, okay, let's coalesce that, get rid of redundancies, make it clear, but then went all the way back to full staff participation because we didn't want to cut something thinking, oh, that's redundant. And then someone reminds us, no, it actually isn't. It's a completely separate idea. And so we had that backup. So it had from the beginning and at the end of the draft, full staff participation. Then it went to approvals, where we had it at the budget and strategic plan office, where we got a wonderful check mark and some good questions that helped us with our messaging. And the library advisory board, where it got a unanimous approval. And now it's before you, city council. As a note, I did find that for our 2016 to 2019 strategic plan, it appears it did not have a resolution, but it was really important to us as an organization because this is supposed to be a way to increase transparency and accountability. And so we feel like that's how we should start, by putting it before city council. You know, you can't get more transparent or accountable than that. So that gets into our mission. It remains the same. We enrich the community by providing an environment where information abounds, ideas flow, and imagination thrives. We were happy it stayed the same because it's also our logo. And I think we all know how much fun it is to change a logo right now. And that's why we exist. Our vision, you know, where we're headed to, that changed only mostly in how we're presenting it. If you look at this vision compared to our previous vision, a lot of it's the same, but we made it more active verbs. There was a lot of passive verbs, and that didn't fit what an active organization we are. So that's the main change in our vision. And in our values, we did the same thing, but we also noticed that we did not have privacy as a value. It was probably because libraries value privacy so much and it's such a core part of identity, we didn't think to say it out loud. So we added that in because we want to make it very clear that every single thing we do at the library, the patron privacy, whether in the building or virtual, is our topmost concern and is always protected above all else. And that leads us to our plan. When we take our mission, our vision, and values, and we break it up into these 6 sections, that is what our plan is based on. And since the plan in its full is in the packet, I'm going to be looking at this on the goals level, not the objective level. Goals are what we want to achieve in the next 3 years. Objectives are broadly how we're going to approach that. Under collection and resources, which is first because it is #1 in use in popularity of use in all the surveys we've ever done, we're looking at these 3 major goals. And I'll give an example of how the process will be. So say if we took the goal of extend the reach of libraries, resources, and collection to underserved users and communities. We want to start with assessment. We don't want to assume that we know what the problem is and we know what the solution is. But we're not going to use our previous assessment tools because we see they're not reaching those demographics. So say we partner with Construyendo Poder, Compañeros, the Language Justice Work Group, who we already partner with, and come up with assessment tools directly for the community and look at not only do you know what our resources are, what resources aren't we meeting, but also solutions for that. And so that's assess. And then we'll move into improvements on pilot projects, collections, increased resources for that. And then we'll move into, you know, sharing what works, because what we want this to do is not just be a benefit to us as a library, but the city of Durango as a whole organization and all our partners. And then, you know, we'll use the same partnerships to assess the success of it in, 18 months, 9 months, whatever the project is, to make sure it's actually doing what we said it would do. So we're not just patting ourselves on the back that we have a new project and we assume it works. And that's going to be very similar with everything we do, spaces and technologies. If we wanted to say library goal 5, improve accessibility of library space, partnering with the disability community here and making sure that our physical, virtual, and peripheral options are helping all members of the community. And so it'd be the same thing. You know, we're going to assess, improve, share, and repeat. And that's something that will hopefully make us more data-driven and transparent, and also help that we can communicate more with city departments who are doing the same thing and get great ideas from them as well. Customer service and marketing. Here's one where we had a really interesting conversation. Library goal 3, maintain excellent customer service standards system-wide. That was actually kind of a late addition because we are already doing that, but we wanted to really make sure this wasn't just about the shiny new thing. This is a commitment to everything we do strategically and put heavy resources in. And customer service excellence is definitely something we put a lot of resources in. And we want to be transparent and accountable about that. And as I said, one of our major goals is to improve how we get patron feedback and how we get employee feedback. And that's a real big part of customer service. and programming and outreach. It's my personal favorite. I'm biased. That's how I started. It's sort of the forward flag of libraries. It brings people in and lets you see there are other resources, and also gets us out of the building to see people who haven't ever been in our library. And we know that, as you can see, there's another goal with underserved and unserved community members, offsite services, marketing, and programming. We're going to be going where people are, talking to them about what they need and bringing it back and making improvements. And professional development and employee engagement. This is not one you always see on strategic plans because it's inward facing, but we really realize that inward facing is outward facing. If we want to hire new candidates in the future, they need to see that we are committed to our employees and employee excellence. And that means that we've spent time, resources, in not just improving morale and job satisfaction, but making this a culture of feedback, but building a system or platform or both that enables two-way feedback for task improvement, so that we can actually be hearing directly from the people. And of course, our employees are going to be instrumental to the success of this strategic plan, so they need to be a direct part of that. And so we're really excited about that. And we're excited about being able to wave that flag and have that where people see us as an employer when they're considering us and considering the move they might have to make, that's what our commitment is. And last, and certainly not least, is future funding. That goal is pretty simple. We want to find sustainable funding so we can support the expansion of library hours and services, because that's the #1 ask from the library right now. We could do another survey today and that's what it would find. We could do a focus group and that's what it's going to find. People want us to be open on Sundays, and they want to be open later during some of the evening hours. And we're currently limited by staffing and funding to pay new staffing. So that's where we're looking forward. Now, that currently, of course, is looking at the possibility of a district, by ballot measure. And of course, the library's role in that is informational support, providing information to the public so they can make an informed decision one way or the other. Regardless of where that decision goes, we are dedicated in the next 3 years of looking at every possible avenue for sustainable funding for the library. So that's why we're doing it, how we're doing it, what we're doing. How will we know it works? As I said, we are going to be improving our assessment tools. The way we'll do that is reaching out to best-in-class libraries and information organizations to find out what they're already doing that works for patron engagement and employee engagement, and taking that and making it work for Durango. And as I said, we'll be working with partners on all of these, from assessment to improvement to sharing, so that we're directly reaching out to the parts of the public that we're not currently reaching out to now. And of course, direct community involvement in all steps is the best way to make sure that this is a community-based plan that works. And that's just part of the continuous improvement. Assess, improve, share, and repeat. Something that we as a library and City of Durango as an organization is deeply dedicated to, so that we are continuing to work with the community to improve things for the community in a base that is database, transparent, and fair. So that gives us to our motion that I move to approve Resolution 2024-0003 to adopt the 2024 to 2026 Durango Public Library Strategic Plan. And I will take questions as soon as the motion is on the floor.
Thank you. You know our process well. Do we have a motion?
I'll move to approve Resolution 2024-0003 to adopt the 2024 to 2026 Durango Public Library Strategic Plan.
Second.
Excellent. Council discussion.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you, Luke. I really enjoy the lively presentation and the energy you bring to this room.
Thank you so much.
I was going to say the same thing. I love the library, but I perhaps love you just a little bit more. You're amazing. Thank you so much. But really, your work and your thought that went into this, and the vision you have for the library is phenomenal, and something that we haven't seen necessarily come to us as counselors since I've been on council anyways. And so thank you so much for that, just renewed energy, and I'm excited to see what you do.
Yeah. We have such a phenomenal staff, that just so many amazing ideas that came out of this. It was truly a labor of our entire staff. So, thank you for that compliment, but it really belongs to all of them.
Yeah, I echo the same thing. I love your passion. You don't see that happen very often with libraries. So thank you for bringing us the feeling of what it's like to be in a library, and the staff feeling around it. So also thank you for diving through the minutia. Like, how do we make such a great asset in our community better? And you guys really did the hard work and rolled up your sleeves and figured out what, not only are we doing well, but how could we improve and make some really great strides to reach some of those underserved markets. So great job. I loved seeing, what you guys are putting in now and looking forward to the next 2 years and seeing how you guys are going to accomplish those goals. So thank you.
And so, with the option of this, there will be quarterly and annual reports, given to city council. So it'll be, and to the public. So it'll be more transparent than ever.
Yes, thank you, Luke. I do appreciate your leadership and direction on the library board. I think it's been really a good learning experience for me, and I look forward to working with you again this year.
Thank you.
And yeah, I also want to thank you for the excellent presentation. The library is such a very, very important asset for our community. So we do appreciate all the hard work that goes into it. Thank you for bringing the strategic plan forward to council for review. I appreciate that in terms of transparency and keeping the community very well informed. And I really appreciated how hard you worked at incorporating so much community input and feedback into this. Once again, all that gathering of community input along the way through your strategic planning process. I really appreciate that. I am also looking forward to continued discussions with you and library staff on how we can get to a sustainable funding source going forward, and looking at every avenue to increase those hours. Sundays and into the evening would be so good for our community in so many different ways. So I appreciate all that you all are doing, and thank you again for an excellent presentation.
Thank you.
With that, may we have a roll call, please?
Counselor Yazzie. Yes. Counselor Woodruff.
Yes.
Mayor Youssef.
Yes.
Counselor Bosman's.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Buell.
Yes.
Motion carries. Faye, may we have a reading of 11.3, please?
A resolution to amend the 2024 budget for the purpose of budget adjustments to the 2024 appropriations.
Hi, good evening, Mayor Council, Devin Schmidt. I always love following Luke, so thanks for that. Note to self, go before him. While Tom is pulling that up, yes, this is a resolution to amend the adopted 2024 budget for the city of Durango. And so I'll just take you through just some reasoning behind the request and then just what the requests are all about. So we did have some timing of bids. So with North College came in after the approval of the budget, and our CIP policy states that if new projects are identified or additional resources are necessary throughout the fiscal year, they'll be brought back to City Council for review and approval. And so if after adopting the budget, we deem it necessary, then we may be able to increase the funds for any specific budget. So there's 3 amendments before you this evening. So one is for North College capital improvement, and these are 2 fund amendments for the work to be completed on one project. So this is in our 2019 fund, as well as in our water fund. We have the Santa Rita Water Reclamation Facility water line as well. And then for phase 1A, we have an airport amendment that is time sensitive and transferring and changing of scope from phase 1B to phase 1A for logistic efficiencies and cost savings. So just wanted to give a little bit of background before I dive into a little bit more of the details. So again, the North College project, you can see here that we are requesting increases, and then as well as 3 project decreases in order to be able to accommodate the increase needed for the 2019 sales tax fund. So you'll see that those are either full or partially reduced, and we worked with Allison Baker, our Public Works Director, on these items so that we would be able to move forward with that North College project. And then you'll also see on the water construction fund, this would just be an increase to the water line replacement to be able to accommodate the bid. In the sewer construction fund, excuse me, this is to replace an aging black iron pipe that's in the interior treatment complex building. So that's a project that we're requesting an additional $70,000 for. And then for airport phase 1A, this is an additional appropriation of $225,000 for terminal expansion phase 1A project. This is looking to expand the structural wall opening between phase 1A addition and the existing terminal. So it's really shifting some scope and cost from phase 1B to phase 1A, taking advantage of the existing construction to lower overall project costs and reduce future logistical phasing challenges. And that is $225,000 out of our airport construction fund. So with that, I have a motion, and then I'd be happy to entertain any questions from council.
Excellent. Do I have a motion from council?
I'll make a motion to approve resolution R-2024-004, appropriating sums of money to the various funds and the amounts and for the purposes as set forth below for capital expenditures for the city of Durango, Colorado for the 2024 budget year.
Second.
Council discussion.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Thank you for that presentation. I'm curious, okay, so we're getting the reduction on the 3rd Avenue, the asphalt overlay and the seal coat. Do you happen to have a percentage of how much reduction that would be in these 3 projects? Are we looking at like 30%, or is that more like, cutting it back to 50% done?
So I could definitely get that information for you, but, so it'd be 600,000 on that 3rd Avenue street rehabilitation reconstruction, 50,000 on an overlay reduction, and then an asphalt seal coat. I don't know if, Allison has that information handy or not.
I'm just curious because I just want to know how far back we'll be in providing these services in the future.
Okay, well, Allison gets that information. Do you have any other questions? Okay, other counselors, while we're gathering that information.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. I have a couple of questions because I looked at the prior year's budgets, and I'm not discussing the airport or the Santa Rita water reclamation items, but the North College Drive projects. You had, according to my notes here, you had initial bid for 1.9, and they asked more for 298, the total being almost 2 million. In 2023 and 2022, that budget was 1.2 million. The capital improvement for the street work, the bid you said was 2.89, asking for 984,000 more, so a total of 388. And if I go back in the prior year's budgets, that was 2.2 million in 2022. And then we have the North College sewer rehab, which is not part of this, but that's another one that almost doubled in 2 years. So when I put them all together, we had in 3 projects on North College that in 2022 were 3.7 million and now are expected to cost almost 6.3 million. Now, these projects are what I had identified as an example over 2 years ago to understand the process in general, how a project gets evaluated, that sort of. I'm still waiting for that information, despite some reminders. And then, in addition, the Multimodal Advisory Board, when it was still in existence, had numerous concerns about these projects, but obviously that board is no longer there. And I was trying to find out what these projects had turned into, because there's a whole design aspect to it. And I just have no idea if the people in our community are supportive of this project, if the people that live in that area are supportive of that project, or even what the project looked like. So I am just very confused about, first of all, the increase in cost from 3.7 million to 6.3 million, as well as what this project really is about and what are these companies bidding on?
So I can speak to the numbers some, and I'd have to go back and look at those prior year budgets. It's possible we budgeted for it and then we didn't complete the project. So that is a possibility. To have to look and see what those actuals are, and I'm happy to do that and send that your way. But as far as the details around the project and any public meetings and some of that input, I would need Allison Baker to come discuss some of those areas.
Great. Allison, are you ready? If you are, you can come up to the podium. Okay. Oh. Okay, sounds good. We'll move on to other counselors then while you continue. Other counselor comments or questions? Go ahead.
You know, Allison, if it's going to take more research, I don't need the answer tonight. You can send us an email. I'm just curious how much behind we'll get in these other projects.
Any other counselor comments? No. And I don't have any either. So if we think it'll be a long wait, Allison, for those numbers, Counselor Yazzie said that you could send that via email to council at a later time. If you are able to respond to Counselor Bosman's questions on what the project is about, that might be helpful. Yeah, coming up to the podium is definitely better so we can get you on the record. Sorry to put you on the spot.
Why we're here.
That's right.
I want to be able to respond to your questions effectively. And I'm going to ask if you can clarify if the project you're talking 250, 251 joint project with the county. No, I'm sorry. North College. And North College has not had a significant scope change. We have added in some storm drainage that was not included in the original design. We can certainly get you a number that's probably 10% of the total project items. The project was bid in over this summer and got no responses when it was bidding a roadway project. And we combined the roadway with the utilities project because obviously when you completely tear up roadway, it would be less than optimal to leave pipes in poor condition in place without replacing them at the same time. So taking advantage of the fact that you have benefits from joint mobilization, one contractor doing multiple scopes of work, things like that. By combining those together, we did get bids on the project that have made it an attractive project to move forward with. The bids, and I'm going to use very round numbers, were roughly $5 million and $10 million. I think this is worth mentioning just because it speaks to the fact that the construction industry is not what it was 5 years ago. That COVID hit, a lot of companies went out of business, and those who remain, there are a lot of different business practices than there once were 5 years ago. And of course, my response today is to say, oh my gosh, they forgot something huge. They've got the asphalt, or, why is it half the price of what we're seeing the second bid at? So going through, looking line by line, bid item by bid item, comparing the two bids, it's simply a difference in the profit that is being added in by one company and a second company looking for 2 times that profit on the same line items. With a little background knowledge of construction operations, you know that some companies are in a position where they can wait for higher profit projects to come through for them, whereas some construction companies need cash flow revenue to stay in business and are willing to do work for a lower profit margin.
Allison,
There,
I just want to
Yep.
be attentive to the time if we can. I appreciate the attempt at the answer, but I think your message is pretty clear. It's a different day and age today than it was.
yes, it is. And also the fact that year over year, projects will become more expensive. And I think that's push from our end to become a CIP organization that really can turn out not only a concise, orderly process, but a more robust.
Excellent. Great.
Amount.
So with
Thank
these,
you. We have other questions.
with these bids, we awarded them, we're gonna have construction, we're going forward with the project?
It's subject to
This approval? Because
discuss-
I
vote.
remember, I mean, this is pre-you. I remember Levi Lloyd doing the first community meeting with
Yes.
everyone on that road, and I was at that meeting with them, and that was, you know, I was like when I first got elected, and that was a long time ago, so.
Yes, and I was at the last one meeting when Levi was talking to the group of residents as he was turning over the streets work to me
So if this gets approved, when will construction start?
this spring.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent. Other council comments? Okay. I do have a council comment as well. This project has been, from my time on council, a high priority item from the I believe it was multimodal. For years, it's been on the high priority list, as well as for the residents of that street. I remember a lot of talk around the speed bumps.
Yes.
There was a lot of talk around that. So I don't know if you know how long we've had this discussion on this project, how many years it has been in the making?
It has been 2 years since since the streets department became part of Public Works. And I'd estimate it was in design a year prior to that. There has been extensive coordination with and multiple changes to the design, working primarily with the residents, has been trying to really effectively respond to their concerns.
Excellent. Will there be speed bumps?
The speed bumps are being removed. There are provisions being made where if the other attempts that we're making to lower traffic speed are not successful, a more modern version of a speed bump, either a speed table similar to what's out at the airport, or speed cushions, just other alternatives can be added back. But we believe with the road diet and some of the approach to a more residential knowledge that you're going into a residential area will help reduce the speed.
Excellent. I know that's been an issue for the residents. We have all driven by up north and seen all the signs in everyone's yards about driving carefully, like your
Right.
kids live here. And so, yeah, we appreciate that very much. Thank you. All right, with that, may we have a roll call, please, Faye?
Counselor Woodruff,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Buell,
Yes.
Counselor Yazzie,
Yes.
Mayor Youssef,
Yes,
Counselor Bosman's.
Abstain.
motion carries. Faye, may we have a reading of 11.4?
A resolution and public hearing for the road naming of city right-of-way dedicated as part of the downtown fire station, the Powerhouse subdivision.
Thank you, Daniel Murray.
Great. Good evening, Mayor, Council. Happy New Year. Daniel Murray with the Community Development Department. We are considering the road naming for right-of-way that was dedicated as part of the Powerhouse Downtown Fire Station subdivision. This is consistent with the strategic plan goal of enhanced livability and sense of place. The subdivision, you may recall, went before you back in August, if I'm not mistaken. It also went to the Planning Commission and it has since been recorded. So the subdivision piece is done. This was a 3-lot split that created a right-of-way. The subdivision was ultimately to enable the downtown fire station. It went through a separate process, which has also been approved with conditions. So this is really the last piece of this puzzle. So here you see the road in red. It exists today. It connects to Camino del Rio. It connects to Veterans Way. And then this next slide shows how that road was dedicated. Lot 1 is the fire station, also River City Hall for the time being. Lot 3 is the Animas River Trail. And so this section of what you see in red connects with Veterans Way. It doesn't go all the way through to the city's property for the powerhouse. That portion is dedicated as emergency access. So still pavement on the ground, but not right of way. And at some point you're familiar with it. The powerhouse portion has a gate on it. This is all publicly accessible right away, like any road in the city. As part of this process, the city did do an online survey. We received 1,054 responses. The responses were split between those that chose from a pre-populated list and those that chose to write in an answer. And those write-in answers are in your packet. It's pretty lengthy. Some of them are very entertaining, very colorful. So hopefully you got a chance to look at those. Our community is quite creative. And the community, by way of 1,000 responses, was interested in participating in this. So you see the higher ranking of those here in this list on the left, Gallagher Way, and then a few more of those colorful answers like Get Out of the Way. What we also received was extensive public comment. Those are in your packet, about 45 comments, and they broke down into 3 categories. Support for Greg Hoakway, which is a 35-year member of the Community Development Department. Then there's Gallagher Way, named after Scott Gallagher, who was a captain with Durango Fire, who was hit by a drunk driver. And then Dunaway Street is named after Mike and Linda Dunaway. They are Durango natives. And Mike Dunaway also had a connection to the fire department. And then Linda had a connection to the La Plata County Humane Society. So those are some options for you by way of public comment. It was asked of staff if we could include some context of road naming and asset naming after individuals. So on the left side of the screen, you see roads that all are city and county, CDOT, named after an individual. We see examples of how even the cemetery and our reservoir, as well as these council chambers, are named after an individual. And on the right side of the screen, you see a list of parks and fields that are named after people. So this provides some context of what the city's done for asset naming. It's certainly not comprehensive, and we didn't even get into trail naming and other smaller ways that this is occurring. So we are operating under the 2020 years and contribution to the community. There are technical considerations associated with road naming. I've actually brought in our GIS staff. They're the folks that we lean on when it comes to what's the right name, is that name taken? And particularly, what's the street assignment? Is it a way? Is it an avenue? And what I've learned from GIS is that pretty much any street assignment works, a way, a court, as long as it's not an avenue. Because in the city, as we know, avenues run north-south. This street starts off running east-west, although it does curve. It's best to go with not being an avenue. So we know that piece is ruled out. And that the fire station and the powerhouse, being the 2 businesses that operate on the properties, will need to be readdressed. So that's a known factor. The policy also sets forth some considerations, and I highlighted B, C, and D. In this case, the city asset may be named for an important person to the area. In C, in order for names of places to be considered, they shall be of a demonstrable meaning to the citizens of the area. Really, this policy is pretty broad. It gives us a process to follow, which we've done, and it gives us some general classifications and considerations. So bringing these up for your awareness. And then the D consideration has to do with names that are commemorating those that have deceased. We need to have written approval, and we do have written approval in your packet for both Gallagher and the Dunaways, should you consider that. So this actually brings me to my last slide. What staff has done, we've narrowed down the list for you. We have 3 different categories of name options. In the honorary category, we have Gallagher Way, Hoakway, and Dunaway Street. There's also the middle category of possibly a creative name like Electric Court and Powerhouse Way. And then there's the right category on the right side, which is practical. And that an example of that would be West 12th Street. That actually is the recommendation that the Planning Commission arrived at their December 4th hearing. They unanimously recommended to council that the street name be West 12th Street. Some of the considerations and factors from Planning Commission have to do with the value of wayfinding. The street currently is referenced as West 12th Street. Planning Commission deals with a lot of development proposals, and they reminded staff that they've seen CDOT call it West 12th Street. There is also recognition that West 12th Street keeps the grid intact. It does continue from the east side of Camino del Rio, which speaks to our sense of place. And then thirdly, Planning Commission acknowledged that it's difficult to choose between the honorary names. And that is something that staff will actually finish with here, is that there are a variety of ways to recognize individuals in our community. And going back to the context slide, there could be other facilities, parks or fields, or even buildings that council could choose to recognize these individuals, or any others for that matter. So that brings me to the end of the presentation. After a motion, I am happy to answer any questions.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Do I have a motion from council? Everyone looks to you.
I guess I'll start, whatever. I move that the road name for the downtown fire station powerhouse minor subdivision right of way be West 12th Street in accordance with the City of Durango policy and procedure for naming city assets.
Second.
Sorry, excuse me. I'm going to now open the public comment. This will serve as the public hearing under state statute. Do we have any comment for this? Live or virtual? Do we have anyone virtually who would like to comment?
I'm not seeing anyone raising their
Great,
hand.
thank you. I'll close the public comment, and now we'll have council discussion. Councilors, who would like to start?
Well, I like the practical name, West 12th Street. And so I would advocate to vote for the recommendation provided.
Thank you. Other councilors?
I just want to say how difficult I think it is to choose between an honorary name. And I do like what we did and seeing the list and the support, because I do think it gives council maybe some like tools in our tool belt to potentially look at some other things to honor these, people that have been super influential in our community. I think being on the grid, there is value to not renaming one of the, I know this isn't technically 12th Street right now, but renaming one of the grid. I know it was actually Greg Hoke, I think in the comment, someone said they should name the River City Hall 12th right there after him. And he was like, absolutely not. Like, I think he's the one that actually said, no, you do not mess with the, how people get around our town and, whether you're new residents or tourists or whatever. And so I'm going to lean towards the practical. I think it could have been fun to have Electric Avenue, but you said we can't have an avenue. So fine. Just kidding. And I would have a really hard time, choosing someone specifically.
Great. Other councilor comments?
I mean, West 12th is great, boring, but very practical. And yeah, I agree. How to honor someone is increasingly difficult to try to, dissect about, who is worthy or who is more worthy. And I feel like there could be a really great way to honor both, all three of them, honestly. But, Greg Hoke, even in his article, said that, his letter to the editor said that he preferred not to be named Greg Hoke Way. He would prefer to be honored through someone else. So it's a really hard decision to make. And so I agree, error on the side of practicality is probably the best measure. And I think we as a community can decide how to best honor both Mr. Gallagher and Mr. and Mrs. Dunaway to really figure out how to really solidify their contributions and their impact on this community.
Great, Councilor Bosman. Okay. I think well said by council. Difficult situation, with two fallen firefighters being brought forward who have been dedicated and committed to our community and serving our community. And then also with Greg Hoke, who's certainly provided a lot of very valuable service to our community for years. So for me, it does feel like a bit of an opportunity lost, but I understand it and I support the decision of the Planning Commission, especially in terms of the value of wayfinding for our community. It makes sense. So I would just add that as well. And with that, may we have a roll call, please, Faye?
Counselor Bosman's,
Yes.
Mayor Youssef,
Yes.
Counselor Yazzie,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Buell,
Yes.
Counselor Woodruff.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Faye, may we have a reading of 11.5, please?
A motion to adopt a resolution to approve the joint stipulation of dismissal concerning litigation filed by John Simpson, specifically Simpson v. City of Durango et al. to 2023 CV 30146 filed in La Plata County District Court.
Thank you for that reading. This item 11.5 is moot at this time and will not be discussed. So with that, Faye, may we have a reading of 11.6?
A resolution reprimanding and reproaching Counselor Olivier Bosmans for acting in a manner unbecoming of a counselor, bringing disrepute to the Durango City Council, and issuing a letter of apology to the city manager and his staff.
Do we have a motion from council? Do I have a second?
I'll second.
And do we have any council discussion?
Yes, I will. Let's start the clock. Late October, early November, I learned of something that may be a serious concern, and I brought this up under new business at the first opportunity possible within 5 days on November 7th. This is the first contradiction with what some councilors stated, that I should have brought it up earlier, as I was not aware of this issue beforehand. Given the seriousness of the concern, I worded the new business item as a special meeting to discuss a personnel matter, and indicated that I would work with the city attorney to better define the wording of the future agenda language. At no point did I mention a name or accuse anybody of anything. The reason I limited the wording to just discuss a personnel matter is that I didn't want to imply or accuse anybody. The first step would have been getting information and background and a discussion with council in a public setting. Of course, if I would have mentioned a name or accused something, which I did not, it would have been a potential violation by itself, what some people seem eager to find. So walking on eggshells. When a councillor brings up a new business item, I understand a councillor is not allowed to discuss that item in detail. So I'm following the rules. I did my initial request as an executive session, and because the city attorney implied only the city attorney can do so, changed it into a request for a special meeting to discuss a personnel matter, indicating that the city attorney can then later define if it should be an executive session. And I have heard conflicting information if a councillor is or is not allowed to request an executive session. Beside the review for a new business item in November, I have never spoken to all of council on my concern. So they are not even aware of my concern from my side. That is because there is rules on open meeting laws, and I understand that a councillor is not allowed to discuss topics with other councillors outside a public meeting, for which you needed to add a new business item, which needs to be supported and so on. So again, I'm following the rules. I did meet with the city attorney, which is a confidential meeting, to discuss a part of my concern. He asked for my approval to get more information from staff, which I provided. Unfortunately, he received false or misleading information from staff and took that information at face value without verifying its accuracy. And the same applies to the other city councillors for that matter. The city attorney then issued a memo to council and the city manager outlining the process for meetings, the staff response, which included the false or misleading information, and the part of the concern I had discussed with him during the confidential meeting. And that part related to my concern had various errors and misunderstandings in it. So I have never accused anybody, not even mentioned a name during the meeting, never spoken to all of council on my concern, and have followed the exact process that is required to bring new business to council in an open and transparent manner. And this new business has serious red flags. How can the city commit $750,000 to a 2-year pilot program without it ever being presented to council or our community? And some of the red flags are, in my opinion, confirmed, being there was no transparency and there was no financial oversight by council. And there are serious concerns remaining that potential legal or charter violations took place about the functioning and viability of the pilot program and what happens to those tenants after 2 years. Now, given the harsh and serious response or attack that followed my request for a new business item, one may wonder why such an effort to stop that new business item and divert attention or gaslight this issue towards this resolution. I do not know, but where there's smoke, there's typically fire. If council does not support a new business item or does not wish to hear about a serious concern, then don't support it and there will be no meeting and we move on. Instead, we are spending time and wasting taxpayers' money on this charade of a resolution, an embarrassment by itself for our governance, sidetracking from what a council should be doing and working on. This resolution includes an apology to the city manager by city council. I think that apology should go to our community. We as a council should work on the important topics in our community and do so in a clear and transparent manner. That's all I have to say.
Other councilor comments?
Under this particular procedure, because it is on a resolution about one council member, Robert's rule says that he should not vote. He is allowed to participate in the discussion, which he's already done. I should have said that beforehand, but you can clearly do what you choose to do, but under Robert's rules, it suggests that you not vote on this type of motion.
Great.
I would probably vote yes because it's such a charade, an embarrassment.
Well, I will just say that I think the resolution speaks for itself. Council is taking care of business and offering a formal apology to staff, which I believe is absolutely warranted in this case, given the events that took place around this issue and outlined in the resolution. And with that, Faye, may we have a roll call, please?
Counselor Yazzie,
Yes.
Mayor Youssef,
Yes.
Counselor Woodruff,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Buell.
Yes.
Motion carries. Moving on to public comment, item number 13. Do we have any public comment today? Thank you. All right, we will please ask Sweetie Marbury to come forward. If you could, this is public comment for items not considered in our agenda this evening. Please identify the topic you're bringing forward when you come to the podium and limit your conversation to 3 minutes and let us know if you are a resident of the city or not.
Yes, I am a resident of our wonderful Durango. I'm here tonight because I'd like to thank the City Council for raising the amount in the 50/50 sidewalk program to $100,000, as I learned when I attended the last public engagement meeting at the library. I called Public Works later because I thought I needed a sidewalk, only to find out that the program was to be abandoned in '24. I was told that the engineers made this decision. I was told only a Front Range company bid on it and it was too expensive. And the list of 12 became 3 residents. The engineers want a sidewalk district instead of the 50/50 program. A sidewalk district was proposed over 25 years ago and city residents shouted it down. No one wants the city council to put a lien on their property. I saw in the Sunday paper, for example, a concrete company advertising in the Durango Herald. I know there is a concrete company in Pagosa Springs that also advertises in Durango. I believe that the staff should not cancel the 50/50 program because it is such a benefit to homeowners. I became aware of the program in 2012 and participated in 2013. Perhaps advertising in Farmington would be another source of bids, because every day I see companies from Farmington delivering services in Durango. In my opinion, this is not a decision that staff should be making. This is a policy decision for the city council with public input. Yes, there are sidewalks that are in need of repair. Put a notice in the water bills. Advertise it on social media channels. Inform property managers that their rentals could benefit from our improved sidewalks. The more opportunities to be in the program, a better city that we have. I have nowhere to go to express this concern except here. Normally, I would have gone to the infrastructure board, and therefore I must show up here at the podium. Again, I believe another reason to have city boards in order for residents to be able to go and express their concerns. When benefits are removed from citizens, they feel slighted and not happy with the city council. And thank you for allowing me to speak. And again, I praise you for raising the amount of money to $100,000 in the 50/50 program. I benefited from that program in 2013. I know the advantages. I heard Ms. Baker talk about how the costs have increased. I am well aware of that, but this is a valuable program not to be taken away from city residents. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Do we have any virtual comments? Anyone who would like to comment virtually?
Yes, Mayor, we have Sarah Sanchez, who I will allow to talk right now.
Yes, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
I just want to note before I begin that I am reading this comment for Gina Janone, who is a resident, as am I, in full support from Durango Palestinian Solidarity Group. As of December 30th, the Israeli military has killed a reported 30,000 plus Palestinians, including those lost and trapped under rubble. The vast majority were civilians, 27,000, including 11,000 plus children, none of them present or old enough to have voted in 2006 for Hamas, the supposed target of this murderous campaign on innocents. It is estimated another 500,000 people are starving. Nearly the entirety of Gaza's population of 2 million people have been displaced. As Israel drops bombs in areas, they instruct Palestinians to flee. Israel has targeted and killed more than 100 journalists, the only people able to show the unfiltered conditions of Gaza to the world, and has partly or completely destroyed 316 schools, 191 mosques, 3 churches, 164 healthcare facilities, and 198 heritage sites. This genocide is being carried out with the full support of our U.S. tax dollars. Nothing that occurred on October 7th justifies the war crimes Israel is committing daily before our eyes. I am appealing to you all in full step with thousands of others who feel powerless and have approached their city councils as a call to humanity. In 2016, Governor Hickenlooper signed a law declaring support for Israel and directing the state para to divest from company refusing to do business with Israel as part of the nonviolent boycott, divestment, and sanctions movement. Perhaps most importantly, our region shares a dark and bloody history of settler colonialism and violence. Today, we make land acknowledgements to try to account for our past, only seeming to recognize genocides and ethnic cleansing campaigns years later. To call them out in the moment, you are labeled a terrorist. We do have an opportunity to speak out on behalf of Palestine, and we won't stop until it is free. We all have a role to play. The US is funding a genocide and is increasingly isolating itself from the world stage with each UN Security Council veto, uplifting the mass slaughter and ethnic cleansing of Palestinians with our funding and weapons. Durango has a chance to be on the right side of history, just like our friends in Taos who passed a resolution on December 7th. Other cities, including Seattle, Atlanta, Detroit, and Oakland, have passed similar resolutions. I and my fellow community members call on Durango City Council to adopt a resolution that would call for an immediate and permanent ceasefire and advocate for lifting the siege on Gaza, releasing all hostages and allowing adequate humanitarian aid in. Condemn the U.S. sending funds and military aid to Israel. Condemn anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, xenophobia, anti-Arab and anti-Palestinian rhetoric and violence that has resulted from this current genocide. Pledge to pressure higher decision-making bodies to make similar action, including supporting HR 786, the Ceasefire Now resolution. Please be a voice in stopping this madness, showing the world that Durango stands with humanity and liberation against occupation and genocide. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Do we have anyone else who would like to comment virtually? Okay, seeing none. We will move on to item number 14, introduction of ordinances and request for public hearing. The following items are requests for public hearings at upcoming meetings. We'll have limited discussion on these items. Just a motion from council to see if there is support to place these items on future business agendas. Staff presentations will occur at the meetings where the public is invited to participate and when council will vote on the merits of the matter. Faye, may we have a reading of 14.1?
A request for a public hearing and introduction of ordinance for land use and development code text amendments regarding detached condominiums and updated flood insurance study to be held on January 16th, 2024, submitted by Community Development.
Do I have a motion from council?
I'll make a motion to approve the request for public hearing as stated by the city clerk.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Counselor Bosman's,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Buell,
Yes.
Counselor Woodruff,
Yes.
Counselor Yazzie,
Yes.
Mayor Youssef.
Yes. Faye, may we have a reading of 14.2, please?
A request for a public hearing and introduction of ordinance for 2900 block of West Second Avenue right-of-way abandonment request, also to be held on January 16th, 2024, submitted by the Community Development Department.
Do we have a motion from council?
I'll make a motion to approve the request for public hearing as stated by the city clerk.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Council discussion? Roll call, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Buell,
Yes.
Mayor Youssef,
Yes.
Counselor Bosman's,
Yes.
Counselor Woodruff,
Yes.
Counselor Yazzie.
Yes.
May we have a reading of 14.3, please?
A resolution accepting the Durango Crossings Addition Annexation petitions and setting a public hearing and the introduction of an ordinance for the annexation and initial zoning of the Durango Crossings Addition and declaring an effective date. This hearing would be held on February 6th, 2024, and this was submitted by the Community Development Department.
Thank you. Do we have a motion from council?
I'll make a motion to set a public hearing and the introduction of an ordinance as stated by the city clerk.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Council discussion? Roll call, please.
Mayor Youssef,
Yes.
Counselor Yazzie,
Yes.
Counselor Woodruff,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Buell,
Yes.
Counselor Bosman's.
Yes.
May we have a reading of 14.4, please?
A request for a public hearing to consider a resolution amending the future land use map for Tree Farm Village located north of State Highway 160, east of County Road 233, in the vicinity of Elmore's Corner. This hearing would be held on January 16th, 2024, and the item was submitted by the Community Development Department.
Do we have a motion from council?
I move to request a public hearing to consider a resolution amending the future land use map for Tree Farm Village located north of State Highway 160, east of County Road 233, in the vicinity of Elmore's Corner.
Second.
Council discussion? Roll call, please.
Counselor Yazzie,
Yes.
Counselor Woodruff,
Yes.
Mayor Youssef,
Yes.
Counselor Bosman's,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Buell.
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you. Moving on to item 15.1, an update regarding the process for the promotion of Bob Brammer to Assistant City Manager and the process for hiring of the police chief position. Jose?
Yes, good evening, Mayor and Council. Just a quick item in regards to an update. There is nothing for you to approve this evening. There's nothing that needs to be done quite yet. Just kind of talking and bringing to the community the summary of our discussions that we had during my annual evaluation and talking in regards to the growth that we've had in our city. In 2017, there were 2 assistant city managers created. Those were 2 assistant city managers when I got here. Looking at the 100-day plan and to foster some collaboration, I took those titles and had all the directors report to me. After 3 years of team building, I think we've done exceptionally well at building trust and rapport with our directors and being able to work together and having that cross collaboration. Also, we're having a lot, as the mayor said, in 2024 of high priority projects that are coming on board. I do have currently 11 direct reports, and that doesn't include the one-on-ones that I have with council every week. So my calendar is getting, or my calendar, what I would say, I guess my capacity is pretty full. And so looking at within the organization of someone that I think that could step up and really provide leadership, take some departments, and I think has a tremendous amount of growth, I think that can bring to the community and benefit the community. I've had some discussions with Chief Brammer, and he is definitely wanting to take on the challenge of being an assistant city manager and want to be able to provide him that ability to do so. He has shown tremendous leadership in the police department. He has shown tremendous leadership in the executive leadership team and will be I believe, an amazing complement to Aaron, who's done amazing work in the city manager's office in helping the community continue to move forward on the progress that we have made. Based on Chief Brammer's recommendation, he would like to do a national search for a police chief recruitment. So we would start getting to work on that. As we look at transparency and making sure the community knows what's going on, I didn't want rumors to start that Chief Brammer is leaving or anything of the sort. I think this move helps Chief Brammer stay in the organization longer with his career, gives him a new challenge, and has us the ability to continue to keep him longer than maybe as if he just stayed at police chief in retirement might have been starting to look really well for him. So I'm excited about this opportunity. There will be in these recruitment community engagement and support, or community, what I call participation in the selection of the next police chief, because it is a critical position for the city of Durango. And we look forward to continuing to inform the community as we move forward on this process. And I look forward to probably a late spring, early summer when the appointments would come to council for approval. That's why we don't have approval now. It wouldn't be, I think, correct to have something kind of already approved before it actually comes to a formal approval. So it was just wanting to make sure that the community and the council were updated on the conversations that we have. And Chief Brammer, would you like to say anything? You weren't going to get away without having an opportunity.
Well, thank you, Jose. Yeah, absolutely not prepared to have a conversation this evening or say anything, but I'm humbled by this opportunity. Durango is a great community, and I think that if I can continue to add to that in whatever capacity it is, I'm here to serve. That's what we do. And I'm really looking forward to this opportunity for growth. It's a challenge. Policing is a difficult profession, but I feel like this is going to be more and more opportunity to just expand that footprint and just make our community better, enhance that quality of life that we all enjoy here very much. So thank you for this chance.
And just as a quick just clarification, he would stay police chief until a police chief was appointed. So there's no PD going without any leadership. We want to make sure that that is as stable as possible. We did have communications with the police department this morning, and we had actually let them know before it even got posted. So we've had communications. Everyone seems to be very positive about the change. And I think that just shows the leadership that Chief Brammer has provided to the organization.
Excellent. Thank you. Council comments.
It was, gosh, I don't know how many years ago that was. I actually sat on a panel to interview the different candidates for chief of police for the city of Durango. And it was a really cool opportunity to learn more about the people that are foundational for the success of keeping our community safe. So Chief, really excited to see you step into this new role, and even more excited to see who you're gonna help foster and develop into your existing role now. So thank you for all the work, the great work that you've done in the past few years as chief, and look forward to working you as assistant city manager. So thanks for all your service.
Other comments from council? I just want to thank you, Jose, for your transparency in reorganizing staff. And and I am excited to see Chief Brammer in this new position. I still personally will always call you Chief, so I hope you're ready for that. You always will be in my mind. Thank you so much for your leadership. We have been so fortunate to have you in this role as Chief of Police. I think you've done an outstanding job, just committed to safety and security of our residents. And it's going to be tough to find a replacement for you in that role, truly. But your service has been really, really valued for Durango. And I will look forward to having you in this as an assistant city manager, working even more closely with us. So look forward to that as well. Thank you, Jose. And with that, do we have any other new business from counselors? All right, seeing none, any requests for excused absences? Seeing none, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Meeting's adjourned.